I've been investigating the Pokemon Center for quite some time now. There's every reason to believe that something suspicious is going on. How else could they be keeping your Pokemon alive for so long? Pokemon Centers are always evolving as they get new technology over the years, but our lovely Nurse Joy remains the same, unaged. She'll invite you in with that lovely smile of hers and say, "Welcome, how can we help?" Knowing that you've been traveling for a while, you take notice that your Pokemon are pretty worn out, so you gladly hand them over to her. "Okay then, please wait here while we restore your Pokemon." You wait patiently for her to come back with your Pokemon. Once the procedure is done, and your Pokemon are back in your hands, you continue on your journey, not knowing what really happened. They want you to believe that your Pokemon can live forever, but this is not the case. In fact, your Pokemon can get injured to a point of no return. I wanted to know how their medical techniques worked, which is why I started this investigation. I was looking for a place to rest, and the Pokemon Center was the only logical option at the time, since I knew they had rooms prepared for people and trainers alike. It was already pretty late, so I went up to my room to get ready for bed, when I heard a faint conversation outside my room. I moved closer to the door, but the only part of the conversation I caught was, "The procedure was a success. We can proceed with the next step." I went back to lay down, pondering the conversation. What did she mean by that? Did they get a really injured Pokemon? This thought ran through my mind, making it hard to sleep. The next day I was planning on leaving to continue on my own journey, but that conversation really struck my curiosity on how they do things. There were a few trainers waiting for their Pokemon to be fixed up, but there was one boy who stood out. I approached him and asked what was wrong. He looked up at me and said he's been here since last night, waiting for his Nidoran who got severely injured while battling Koga for the Soul Badge. The nurse told me that I might have gotten here a little too late, but they would try to do everything they can. This was quite odd to me. If it's too late, then there's no hope for his Nidoran to survive, unless that conversation I heard last night had something to do with this. I wanted to know more. I gave the young boy a reassuring smile and told him I'm sure everything will be okay, and went on my way to look for clues. I noticed the nurse coming out of a room. This will be the first place to look. As soon as the coast was clear, I went up to the door. It said storage closet on it. As I opened the door, I noticed a row of giant clear test tubes with the green liquid inside them. There's no way this is just a storage closet. I moved in closer, and that's when I saw an Eevee with a deformed head and two legs that were longer than the other. This was a horrifying sight, but that wasn't the only thing creepy about this room. The Eevee was letting out a faint cry for help. It had to be in such excruciating pain. The Pokemon was a failed experiment. I could hear the door opening behind me, but it was already too late to hide. When I turned around, there she was, with a sinister look on her face. It's like she knew I was in here this whole time. There was no way escaping. She had a Bellsprout and commanded it to use Vine Whip to hold me down while she injected me with the clear substance. My body went numb and I became very tired. I don't recall anything after that. I awoke in a darkened room that had a variety of medical equipment in it. Whatever the nurse injected me with made me very weak, but I needed to get out and tell the police. I could hear footsteps coming closer to where I was. This was my chance. Frantically, I looked around and found a knife sharp enough to defend myself at least. The nurse entered the room with another syringe, but I couldn't tell what was in it. Still feeling weak, I managed to get some strength. As soon as she got close enough, I took the knife and forced it right into her neck, making her drop the syringe on the ground. She then backed away, holding her cut open neck. I watched as she fell to the ground, gurgling up blood. I picked up the syringe to examine the fluid that was inside, when I noticed a label that read Pokemon DNA Type A. I was quite confused, but then recalled the room with the deformed Eevee. Maybe I missed something. With the little strength I had, I made it back to the storage closet and noticed a filing cabinet. There was a variety of documents on all the different kinds of Pokemon, but one stood out, a folder that read cloning. This was the information I needed. The next day I went back to that Pokemon Center with Officer Jenny, and there at the desk was Nurse Joy, with the same smile and not a single scratch on her.